Hello.
Hello, we are live again. We are all ready and prepared this time. We had some technology issues, and so we're trying this a second time, and we're making it even better. We're going to have so much fun with this, guys. I am sorry that if you tried joining us a few minutes ago, we're talking today about how to understand the new nutrition labels of 2021. They just changed in January, and lots of questions have came up. As I mentioned before, I I noticed we ProCare Health has done some blog posts. They're on our ProCare Health website regarding the nutrition label changes. And after reading those, I just knew we had to have Katie, our dietitian, here join us. So my name is Brenda. I am a nurse, bariatric nurse, and have started doing these live topics. And we are joined also by Brittany. Brittany, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi guys. If you've been watching our support groups and our other live events, you might think I look familiar. That's because I help Brenda out with these live events too. So today it's going to be more so Brenda and Katie, though. Katie's here to help you guys learn more about the new nutrition labels. So second
Yeah,
time,
Kate.
hopefully it works.
We're talking about the Mercury retrograde. Is that what we called it?
Yeah, that's what they were talking about on the radio when
Yeah.
it was yesterday or Monday, but something
There's
happened, yeah.
some there's some planetary alignments and disalignments going along. So we're right in that mix. And Katie, you want to come in and join us? Tell us about yourself and what you do and how you're associated with ProCare or sponsor.
All the above. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Chapman, and I'm a registered dietitian. Oh my gosh, for 13 years now. And I am in private practice and do some consulting and public speaking. And I'm located actually in Los Angeles, California. And I have worked with bariatric surgeons and patients that have undergone bariatric surgery for all of those 13 years that I've been a dietitian. So I kind of fell into this specialty field and have loved it. So I've been a part of maybe, I think, 8,000 patients journey in this. So it
That gives
allows
me chills.
me
That's a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah. So it allows me to be able to have this like really kind of range of seeing all different types of scenarios. So it's been really helpful to be able to do that and kind of I don't know, bring my expertise to an experience with this. And I definitely with ProCare Health, I'm here. They are here for me. I'm here for them. I honestly get to answer questions oftentimes for ProCare that kind of come in about their vitamin and their products too. So I'm just kind of, I feel like it's the wealth of knowledge in my brain that I'm happy and willing to share. So jack of all trades here. So
People can benefit. People
yeah,
can benefit from this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to kind of combine not only just the actual, like, this is what we know, evidence-based, science, but then also at the same time, we need that empathy and real world experience that comes along with such a health journey. So I like to bring them both to the table. So 2021 nutrition labels, guys.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about this.
Yes.
So
it goes deep. She's going to try to simplify it, but like we spent an hour on the phone one day and she tried to explain it to me. And even being a nurse, I was struggling a little bit. So she's been working endlessly on simplifying.
Yeah, and I will admit, like we talked about this before. I feel like I need confetti and balloons going on all the time to make this subject like fun and interesting and easy. And I'm going to try my best to do that today. And really just try to make it as simple as we possibly can, because honestly, they are a little complicated. I won't deny it. This is what I do every day. So I can only imagine how to explain that to clients, patients, or just understand them for yourself. So I'm gonna break some things down and try to make it as basic or straightforward as possible.
Now, too, I want to say before you get started, too,
Yeah, of
Katie,
course.
we have a button that says "Ask a Question" if you're on Crowdcast. And I know Michael has put a question on there, which we're going to get to. Michael, if you're able to stay with us for this whole presentation, we will have it on the. It'll be available because we're going to do the questions kind of towards the end. So we'll answer any questions if anybody else wants to add to those questions, and then they'll be timestamped. So they'll be on our Crowdcast video as a timestamp. And then if anybody on Facebook is watching and wants to ask a question, please put it on there. Brittany's monitoring those, and she's going to let us know. So I'll shut up. She can talk.
Oh my gosh, Brenda, you're so funny.
I can't help myself. It's the balloons and the confetti that just kind of got me going.
Yeah, all of it over here. Well, with this subject or with these labels, I love how, we can talk about them, and this is set up to be just such a fun platform for us to chat. But with these labels, man, I needed to do something visual. I'm a visual person. So I definitely put together a little something. So we would have a thing on the screen to help explain all of this. So if you guys want to put that up there, and then I can kind of start diving in
okay,
here.
Brittany, if I'm going to try it here.
I was going to say, you can or I can. If you think it's going to mess up with the...
I love our tech. You guys, we are doing this.
Here we go.
Yes.
This is it. Okay. Balloons, confetti, sparkle, shine. All right.
It's all there. And we're
all here. Hey, guys. So
to the very first little slide here in the presentation for you, Katie. I'll be your Vanna White.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are going to start into this to just kind of look, one, at the two main components of the label that have kind of changed. And with ProCare Health, I wanted to look a bit deeper into how that might change how we would look at a supplement, such as a vitamin. But I do want to mention, and I know Michael had put this in the Q&A, a bit more about the sugar and carbohydrates and things like that. So I will make mention of that. And of course, if there's any more that a little bit deeper that I can go into, I will definitely do that towards the end. Mm-hmm. I do want to mention too, the blog posts that ProCare Health has are both really in depth. So there's two of them, and they go into all the nitty gritty details, which is awesome and amazing. So if you're trying to find those particular nuances, I would use that as a reference for sure. And
we can post those here shortly too in the comments sections of Facebook and Crowdcast. We'll comment. We'll post. It's a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah. And I think they have all the little nuances there, which is wonderful. For those who want to geek out a little more, I'm going to geek out a little bit less, maybe today, but still get us through these. So changes kind of in our label. What I think kind of the two main changes is when it comes down to the daily value and and therefore like the percent daily value, and then also calculations and unit of measurement. Okay, and I'm going to explain each of these in particular because I think that's the part that really, really has thrown things off. So if you want to go to the next slide for me, I have a picture of the label up here. And so these are the kind of 4 basic things that they talk about with the new label. The serving size is larger, it's bolder. The serving size has been updated, and now they have to put a serving size that is like a real serving size, not just like one bite, which they could before. So some of those serving sizes may be updated. The calories are now larger and bolder. They do talk about these daily values, and you can see on the screen it's that percent daily value. And then if you come down on the label, it talks about added sugars. So we used to just have total sugars, and now they added a little subset to that of total sugars. And then underneath below, we used to have some of the different micronutrients. And so now they changed those out. Like we used to have vitamin A in there, and that's not as much of an issue. So they put vitamin D in there instead. So there's just little changes in those. What I want to focus on is I actually, with our next slide here, I want to focus right there on that daily values. So we usually see them as percentages, and those percentages are based upon how much someone would need and if they are following our, based upon 2,000 calories. So that is what how percentage of those 2,000 calories of that nutrient is being covered. And so what they have done, next slide, thanks. What they've done is they've actually taken a look at daily value, and just so we have definitions of that, the daily value is that recommended amount of nutrients to consume or not to exceed each day, and then where they come of that percentage in that single serving or individual package of food. So next slide on here. So what has happened is that some of our daily values have been updated based upon new nutrition research, new science. They now will note, hey, we need this much of our protein or this much of our carbohydrate, or it shouldn't exceed this much of our carbohydrate. And then also when we talk about nutrients and micronutrients, so all those little vitamins and minerals that we will see in our supplements, some of those values have changed too. So for example, they might be like, oh, now we need more thiamine. So that daily value will be changed. What happens is that when our daily value changes, our percentage of that daily value also changes. So I don't know about you guys, and I'll ask, Brittany and Brenda here. Most of the time, or I feel like in the past, most people were advised to take a look at their supplements and say, just like, look for 200% of the daily value or as close to it. And then we know that we're good for after surgery. Did you guys hear that?
For vitamins, you're right.
For vitamins, yeah.
Yes,
for supplements,
yes.
yeah.
And actually, as like I shared with you before, as being a coordinator in a program, that's what we told our patients all the time. And I don't know about you, Brittany. Is that what you had heard too before?
As for bariatric patients, that is what I had heard.
Yeah. Which, I there's a long history, I think, of what that is. I don't actually know where that came from, but
really?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Just because, since I am a dietitian and I'm looking at nutrition, I always tended to look for the actual numbers of the nutrient. But that's because, I'm a nutrition nerd. This is what I do. How would I want someone else to take a look at that and not get overwhelmed? And I understand how that could have been an easy way of looking at it. But the difficulty with these new labels is that's not true anymore. We have new stuff. We know those daily values have changed. So then those percentages have changed as well. So if we go to the next slide, we also see, the opposite too. So if that daily value goes down, then that percentage of that daily value goes up. And so I kind of did a side by side on the next slide and just wanted to mention, like, what are our different, at least for our supplements, what are our different nutrients like thiamine, B12, and biotin? Those daily values went down. So their percentages went up. Definitely more than 200%. But then vitamin C and vitamin K, their daily value went up. So their percentage went down. There's actually no change in terms of, let's say, if you're looking at your supplement, you're looking at your vitamins, minerals, you're like, okay, let me look at this bottle. There's no change in the actual product itself. It's still the same of what you've been taking forever. It's just with these label updates, it changes what that number looks like. So for some of them, like thiamine, all of a sudden, thiamine is B1. And so you might look at that now and see, oh my gosh, how did they add so much thiamine if you're just looking at that percentage? Because that went up. You guys still with me?
I definitely am. Are you, Brittany?
I don't. Sorry, I forgot. I forgot I was muted. I was trying to link those blogs for them. But yes, no, I've been following along.
Yeah, good. And I always want to check in with everyone here just because this is just such the hardest subject. So I want to make it as like easy, but also, again, balloons, confetti, exciting. So we understand that things may look different, but they're actually still the same.
Right. So basically you're saying the thiamine, B12, biotin, vitamin C, vitamin K, the amount that patients need is still the same. But when you look at the nutrition label, it's going to look different in the percentages of daily
Absolutely.
diet.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, absolutely. You're exactly right.
Whoop, whoop.
I know, right?
Confetti.
All right. So then let's take a look. And I just put a supplement facts kind of label up there. And this is actually from ProCare Health's multivitamin. So you'll look on here and what we always have on our supplements, or for most supplements, and when I talk supplements, I'm usually talking about a vitamin or a mineral, or sometimes even, let's say, like a herbal supplement. They'll usually have a per serving, and they'll have a kind of number involved with that. And then they'll always have a % daily value. And so that's what I was talking about before with those percentages. If the nutrition research or the updated science says what we're looking at goes down, then that daily value goes up. The other thing that I want to talk about with these, at least for the supplements more in depth, is looking at not only calculation, but unit of measurement. I think this is the other big change in our nutrition facts label, or especially our supplement facts label. So if you go to that next slide, I circled a couple of these here. So just to show an example, and I'll break these down too, is vitamin D. We have a different calculation. So most of the time we all, including me, have all been looking at, oh my gosh, I need this much IU. I know I need 3,000 IU. And now that unit of measurement has changed to mcg, which is micrograms. And so oftentimes the bottles are putting both of them on there, but I have a feeling that, or I do know that some just are putting micrograms on there only. And that's, eventually maybe that might be phased out because of this updated change. And so I'll break down vitamin D and all that individually of what that is. You'll also see on here, and I circled kind of the folic acid or the methylfolate is now you'll also see kind of that the calculations change. So on the screen there, it says 800 micrograms, which that wasn't different. Folate has been in micrograms, but now we have this moniker, this kind of lettering that states DFE, which just equals dietary folate equivalence. So it's basically how something is measured and the different types of folate. There are different types of folate that can be put in a supplement, and how each of those kind of, I guess, like stack up or rank, or how readily available they are to be absorbed. So let's talk about absorption a little bit and how this works, because I know I was trying to be visual with this. Again, can I just distract people with like confetti and like
This next slide has the confetti on it.
something. So this was the easiest way for me to try to think about this so we could make sense of what this looks like for us and why our labels look different for our supplements, for our vitamins and minerals. So our previous label calculations just considered everything the same. So if we were talking about folate, I'm going to just use that as my example. It calculated everything the same. So if you had a methylfolate or a folic acid or a folate itself derivative, those are 3 different types that could be put into a supplement. And when they calculated before, they just considered all of their absorptions to be the same. Okay? But they actually aren't the same. So how they did that, if we go to the next slide, so I got this line of absorption here. So they were like, okay, guess what? Whatever you put into that supplement, it's folate, and it all equals the same across the board. We're just considering it that, and that's how our microgram number was labeled before. So now, how they're looking at it, and we go to the next slide, they're actually looking at it as all different. So those 3 things, how they absorb differently. Okay, so some are going to be maybe more absorbable. Gosh, is that a word? Maybe not, but can be absorbed more readily available versus another. And so we want to give like more weight to that. Like we want to say, oh, hey, like this how we consider this microgram, or how we consider what's in that supplement is more effective. So we give it more of a higher number. So if we go to the next slide, we can kind of see here is that our line of absorption here, that we have more weight to those 3 different types that could be in our supplements. So when that's how they kind of came up with that dietary folate equivalent, is because depending on what type you have in your supplement, it's going to add up differently, because some are going to be absorbed easier versus other ones. Ooh, that is a mouthful. Are you guys with me?
I'm with you. I got it.
I know. I'm like, oh.
It's my second time hearing it. Brittany, how are you doing?
I know.
I'm doing good. Erin did just let us know that it's kind of hard to see the slides though for some people that are using a mobile device. So
oh no.
I think it's just because we're all on screen at the same time. So I am going to get off the screen. I will still be on here though for audio. But
I'm making my PowerPoint a little smaller too.
I also wanted to just say this on the live video in case people watch this after the fact so they can, if you're having trouble seeing the slides, maybe if you have a computer that's available, try to use the computer versus your phone because I'm on my laptop right now and I can see the slides perfect. So I just wanted to share that in case anyone might have some issues looking at the slides, but
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Brittany.
you.
you're welcome.
I know, you guys, and that's why when we were trying to break this down, I wanted this to try to seem hopefully as easy as possible and also really, really hone in or take a look at what exactly we should know about this label and why does it look so different, let's say, especially when it comes to our supplements. So, okay. So next, if we look at the next slide, I wanted to kind of point out which of our vitamins and our minerals were those changes. So, looks like I forgot an A in calculation. I apologize. So we have some calculation changes and we have some measurement changes. And so I just wanted to shout out those in particular of what we're looking at a little bit differently. So calculation-wise, vitamin A used to be an IU, which was international units. It is now in micrograms, so that's mcg, of retinol activity equivalents. So you'll see a little RAE there. And again, that's basically just based upon the absorption or the ability to absorb or how effective a certain component or a certain type of vitamin A is there and is able. Looks like I'm losing my screen here.
Okay, let's try this again. You got it?
We're back. Yeah,
Brittany was going to have me try to take her off screen, but I can't without trying to change screen. So I'm just going to stay here. We're almost done with the slides anyway.
Yeah, we are. So, we'll work through this. Absolutely.
It's all good.
And then niacin, which is our vitamin, our B3 is now in milligrams. It was always in milligrams, but now it's niacin equivalents. And then I talked about folate or folic acid, and those are from, they're still in micrograms, but now they're dietary folate equivalents or DFE, which I was talking about before. Now measurement changes. So vitamin D, it used to be IU, so international units. They're now in micrograms. And I think, when I was trying to figure out the math part of this, okay, sometimes that's not always the fun part. But the rule of thumb of how to figure this out is that for every 1,000 units, that's 25 micrograms. So if we're looking for 3,000 IU, that would be 75 micrograms. So it's just kind of the nice little rule of thumb or conversion instead of Googling, which I was doing for a long time as these labels were changing over. And then vitamin E is IU, used to be international units, and now they're in milligrams of alpha tocopherol, which is just basically a component of, or a form of vitamin E, but kind of like the dietary folate equivalents. It's just that kind of one thing in particular, that measurement of it in particular. So those are the main, I would say, supplement-wise. So if we go to our next slide, taking a look at our last kind of things here. So some other little kind of tidbits, I guess, for supplements is they want the name and the quantity of each ingredient, of if it's more than one tablet as your daily serving. So they want to be very particular of what that tablet equals. If there are calories in our serving, then the ingredients of where those calories are coming from must be listed, which should be. And for the most part, I don't feel like that's too much of a change. they're changing some of the amounts per serving. So sometimes it'll say like each serving contains or amount per X number of tablets or something similar along those lines. So that's just kind of a language update. Choline is now listed on the labels, and choline's another micronutrient, but it's come much more to the surface recently. And so if it has at least 2% of the kind of daily requirement, then it needs to be on the label. If it's under 2%, then they don't need to include it, even though it might be there in like a little bit of amounts. If there's any blends or proprietary blends, that has to be listed. And then sugar will now be listed as a percent daily value. So as I mentioned before, we have our total kind of our total sugars and then added sugars. Those now will have a percentage as far as their daily value to them. So, my gosh, presentation part for days you can go to. I like the last slide there. It's just thank you. And it has my information on there if I can be of any help. But also, I want to get to some questions with our time remaining. And I know I didn't go into as much detail as we possibly could with all of these label changes. But I definitely appreciate the blogs on ProCare Health to just kind of help explain those details. And then also at the same time, too, I'll kind of answer some of these questions as well. So,
and Katie, I'm going to be stopping sharing this, but I just want to highlight, because I'm going to go back to just being us three girls here.
Absolutely.
I do want to share Katie's, I want to make sure you guys see Katie's website and her email address in case you have any questions. She's a wonderful consultant. I also want to mention she just may have some super exciting things coming up on her website. I just want to say that there may be some things. I don't know if they're quite live yet or not, but
not yet. I'm doing like my thanks, Brenda, my little plug in here. I've been working hard on creating some training and a training course for nutrition and bariatric surgery, just to kind of hone in on my experience and then also just my years of doing this. So. Designed to be for health practitioners. So that's coming in like March. So it's getting close.
Yes, that's so exciting. And I do also, so stay tuned for that. And where can they best easily find you? We're going to go to questions here in a second. We have 3 or 4 questions for you.
You know what? I think the best place to find me is just going to my website, chapman.com. My last name is spelled a little different. So Chapmon. I think that's the easiest place to kind of just find me and connect with me, and you can schedule on there, you can email me on there. That's probably the easiest. But I'm happy to kind of answer anything that I can or connect with people. It's always great to talk within this community. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for all of that. And unless you have something else, we're going to go to some questions.
So,
questions. My screen is kind of freezing up a little bit. Questions. Is that okay if we go to those?
Yeah. Let's go to questions.
I'm going to read. We have 2 on Crowdcast, and then I have 1 on Facebook so far. And if anybody else has anything, I want them to please list. So I'm going to start with a question by Michael. He asked, label highlights for my clients are serving size, calories, protein, total carbohydrates, sugar, fat. Are there any label changes for these basic components? I think you answered that, but I want you to make sure that he gets his full answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I definitely like if I'm working with a client and I'm kind of trying to do the like a food label point out, like, and I feel like that's just different than a supplement label. I definitely take a look at the serving size, calories, protein. I do mention like total carbohydrates when it comes to kind of if I'm working with someone who has blood sugar issues, but oftentimes I want to point out the total sugar and then the added sugar. And then fat. So you got some great highlights there, Michael. As far as any label changes for these, the main thing is going to be some of them are going to change that percent daily value. So if you kind of have any statement about the percent daily value, that might need to be updated. Or with that total carb, you're having total carb, then total sugar, then added sugar. So the total sugar is kind of what sugar is in there naturally, plus the added sugar. So it's the whole kit and caboodle. And then you see the separate added sugar on the label, and that's what has been added to it by the manufacturer.
Okay, that helps. And Michael is still with us on the call, so I think he is. So if he does have any other questions or has wants to clarify better, we can always do it. Now, the next question comes from Brittany. Oh, she's actually transferring this question over from our Facebook page.
Awesome.
And she has, what do the bariatric daily chews do for me as a sleeve surgery patient? Why do I take them? What does it do for my stomach? Almost 5 years post-op liver transplant.
Okay. So you have a couple things going on there. And so as a patient who has undergone bariatric surgery, and I'm going to say this in general, and then I'll say a little bit about the sleeve. So after your anatomy is changed, and we know that some surgeries change anatomy a little bit more than others. We have less availability for absorption. We have less availability for our nutrients to potentially come from food. We also, and I say this with the sleeve too, since there's not a change in like the intestines, but we have a smaller amount going into our stomach, and also how it transfers. So that transfer from that stomach through the small intestines can sometimes be a little bit quicker, a little bit slower, depending on what's going on. So why do we need our vitamins after surgery? Is because we oftentimes, with that anatomy change, need more vitamins to go in there. So our body has more opportunity or more availability to absorb. So I'll give you a really quick example. B12 needs a partner called intrinsic factor, and that comes from our stomach. So our body releases that through our stomach. If we have any bariatric surgery that kind of alters the stomach, takes part of it away, like a sleeve, then we have much less intrinsic factor. So we need to make sure that we give extra B12 to be able to partner, have as much ability to partner as possible within that. So that's kind of one example. And so what, I can say too is that just we have much less usually space for being able to utilize, absorb just our vitamins in general that's coming from food, and just changing that food amount. So that's kind of what I would say, like, what does it do for you anytime we have a micronutrient deficiency or insufficiency? It can do a lot of things. So we can feel it physically. So sometimes it's like fatigue or extreme like itching on our skin. I see that with vitamin A deficiency, or hair loss, or even weight gain sometimes can happen with micronutrient deficiencies too. So I'm like a safety person. I've just kind of seen everything, the good, the bad, the ugly in my years of doing this. And so I want to make sure that everyone is safe after their surgery, and by taking a multivitamin or by taking a bariatric formulated formula to make sure our bases are covered is going to keep you safe.
And with having a liver transplant, I would imagine that
there's more needed with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just, that was part of her question. So, no, I'm glad you mentioned that. So, I mean, that's important because that was part of what she asked. So
Yeah. And so, with a liver transplant too, there's our liver acts as this really, really great kind of filtration system and production system for our bodies. And so sometimes our liver also needs micronutrients to support it and to support those processes too. So with having kind of both things going on, then I especially would want to make sure that those bases are covered.
yeah, and if there's special, I mean, what I would always say too is, and you would probably say the same thing, I'm sure, if there's something that you have a question about one of those micro ingredients that she was talking about, regarding your situation, because everybody's bodies are a little different. You can always ask your bariatrician or our bariatric physician or your primary care or your liver specialist, some or dietitian
Or your
that
bariatric
works specifically.
dietitian. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like someone on your team should be able to hopefully connect you with someone too. So, I can say for anyone, it's so much harder to get a vitamin back up than it is to prevent it. So once things are low, you're trying to be like, Band-Aid, let's do everything. Let's get all the things back in line, because you usually will feel it, and it's kind of a slow burn. So oftentimes they'll just be like, oh, I kind of feel not so good, or I'm kind of feeling more tired, and then it goes to exhaustion. So
Well, and you got a good point, because it's so easy. And I mean, I'm a bariatric surgery patient myself. I know how hard it is to remember for me to take them sometimes. I mean, I never have been a real big medicine taker. In fact, I'm not on any medications right now. So to remember I almost just have to lay them out in the morning and put them there so I remember, otherwise I forget. And so, like you said, unless you're having problems, a lot of times you're like, well, do I really need them?
Yeah.
And then when you do start having problems, it probably doesn't always show up right away. And it could be very vague symptoms, because some of these vitamin deficiencies are really vague. And to pinpoint what it is, it could be a million different things. We had a patient that had I want to say it was a B1 or B6 deficiency, and had every million test in the book. And it came back that that's what it was, and it fixed it very easily. But she was in the hospital for like a week or so, very sick. So I mean, it's just to point out, you don't always know until you.
So tough. It's so tough. But I always encourage people, just think of it that way. It's so much best for the prevention than getting them back up. And if you feel good, great, and your vitamins will help you to stay feeling good.
And Katie too, I hope it's okay. I'm going to real quick just share our sponsor site before we go here.
Sure,
I don't see any other questions, but we're still on the lookout for those. So if you're with us and you want to ask more questions, we still have a few more minutes. Can you see the site up here, ProCare Health?
I can.
Okay, good. So anybody that's joining us, ProCare is our sponsor, and just kind of a little plug for them. It's just www.procarenow.com, and this is their website. And if you're never tried ProCare, you can go here. You can click on this free sample and just fill out this information. They have a little box here. If you have something special that you're wanting to try, otherwise it just kind of sends you a variety of things. And then over here, if you're familiar with their products and you want to try something, you can click on, we have the bariatric vitamins under one tab. We have the calcium supplements. This is really popular right now, this calcium dark chocolate. Have you ever tried that yet, Katie?
I have. Yeah, it's
so good.
It's good.
It's delicious. So that and our chewables, and then we also have some capsules and some other types of formulas. So that's just enough of that. I can kind of go ahead and close out that screen, but I did want to share it just to kind of have that. And I'm going to double check. I don't see anything on our Facebook page right now. We've had lots of people joining us there, and then here on our ProCare site, our Crowdcast page, I don't see any additional questions. So I think we're good, and we have posted some links. I'm also going to put Katie's I think maybe Brittany might have shared that, but I'll make sure we put
Yeah.
your website on there too as well.
Awesome.
And both places. And I want to thank you for being here. And you did make it fun.
I hope everyone saw the balloons, confetti, sparkle, shine, everything for this tough one.
It was. If you can make a topic like this fun, I mean, you just got to be a fun gal. That's all. I
try. Yeah.
So I guess we'll sign off, and we just want to say thank you to everybody who's joined us. And these are available for replay. So if you didn't get to hear the whole presentation, come back and check it out.
Awesome.
Okay. Bye,
Thank you,
Katie.
guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.